You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 9th meeting for the Long Beach Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Long Beach Council meeting. Today is June 9th, 5 p.m. If we'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. States of America, to the republic for which visible. Clerk Treasurer, if you would do the roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Anita Remages,
Here.
Kendra Bartlett, Colleen Lane,
Here.
Cindy Levy,
Here.
and Joy Schmidt is absent. Chief Swistek,
Present.
Attorney Willoughby,
Present.
Clerk Collins, I am present, and that concludes roll.
Thank you. I have no opening remarks. Approval of minutes, we had 3 meetings. The first was the council meeting, May 12th of 2025. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. The minutes from that meeting.
Second. Thank you. The special council meeting of May 19th, 2025. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Special council meeting, May 19th, 2025.
Sorry. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the other set of minutes are the special council meeting of May 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any public comments in the town hall, people in person? Seeing none, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to make public comments limited to 3 minutes? All right, it looks like none. We're ready to move on then to committee reports. And Meg, I just had a quick question. Will you be talking in your budget and finance report about the department heads preparing?
Yes, I do need to still distribute the budget worksheets, but yes, I can touch on that.
Okay, okay, so I'll let
Or
that.
would you, or you can talk on it.
All right, I'll just go
that's
ahead
fine.
with that. So before we do the committee reports, all the department heads should be aware that they should have pulled together by the second week in August, I think, Meg, we talked, their 2026 budgets as well as their 5-year plan. And Meg will talk more. The dates will be coming, but at least keep it in mind, all the department heads. Police Department Commission, Chief Swistek.
Good evening. For the month of May, the Long Beach Police Department responded to 447 calls for service when compared to 503 calls in the previous year, for a decrease of 56 calls for service. During the month of May, 21 incident reports were documented. A total of 19 individuals were arrested, 1 felony arrest for possession of methamphetamine, 1 felony arrest for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, 1 misdemeanor arrest for possession of marijuana and reckless driving, 1 misdemeanor arrest for invasion of privacy, 3 misdemeanor arrests for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, 1 misdemeanor arrest for driving on a suspended driver's license, 8 misdemeanor arrests for minors in possession of alcohol, 1 misdemeanor arrest for possession of marijuana and minor in possession of alcohol, 1 misdemeanor arrest for operating while intoxicated and resisting law enforcement, and lastly, 1 warrant arrest for failure to appear for a criminal trespass charge. Other than that, I have nothing major to pass along. But I would, however, like to touch on a call from last night. Just over 24 hours ago, we had some pretty heavy rain yesterday evening. At 5:26 p.m. yesterday, our Deputy Corporal Matthew Farthing was being relieved on shift by Deputy Matthew Disbrow. Our officers do a great job of monitoring the radio traffic of the surrounding police departments, at which time they heard of a medical emergency just outside of Long Beach in the county on 500 West. The call came out that a 61-year-old male was in his driveway and that his vehicle had collapsed on him and he was stuck underneath the vehicle and that his arm was trapped under one of the wheels on the vehicle. Our deputies were both first on scene. I want to publicly commend both of our deputies. Their quick actions were able to free this gentleman from underneath this vehicle prior to the arrival of EMS, fire, or the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department. We often, in the last couple months, been riding Deputy Disbrow pretty hard because he seems to get a flat tire like once a month. So he's had his car jack out literally in the back seat of his car and had not put it back underneath all his equipment and that. And then he took it upon himself to carry a cordless pneumatic drill with him in his car. So during this medical emergency yesterday, it couldn't have worked out any better that Deputy Disbrow was able to run to his vehicle quickly, obtain his car jack, get his own personal pneumatic drill, got underneath the car, began to put the jack and the pneumatic wrench onto, raised the vehicle while Corporal Farthing was tending to the bleeding of the victim from the medical emergency, and then both deputies were able to pull him out from under the vehicle prior to the arrival of the other first responders. So I'm very proud of both of our deputies. They worked together in tandem to get this gentleman out from under his car and then got him to the hospital for further medical treatment. So great job, Corporal Farthing and Deputy Disbrow last night. Aside from that, I again have nothing major to pass along other than, as you heard in the report, we're starting to see some underage drinking on the beach. The 8 arrested were at Stop 31. There was an underage party that we encountered. Typically what we're doing with those is that we are issuing citations to the parents, having the parents come pick up their children, making them aware of the incident. We really don't want to, drag them off to jail and take them into the county unless they're really being uncooperative. For the most part, everybody's been very understanding, and we're just wanting to get the message out to the public that you have to watch your young adults and make sure that they're not out in public drinking alcohol this summer on our beaches. And there was not a police commission meeting. We are postponing the quarterly meeting for June, and it will be moved to the third week of July.
Thank you. Chief Swistek, Town Administrator.
Just a couple of things to touch on. The CCMG paving project in the next 2 weeks that will be concluding. So far, everything is going very well. We've had a few complaints in some neighborhoods as far as when we're milling the roads that, we're bringing up grass off the side of the shoulders or other things are occurring. I want to remind the public that when the project's done, we will go back through the neighborhood. The contractor will do some restoration work. So just because the final cleaning has not occurred as of yet, just keep in mind over the next 2 weeks that the paving contractors will be going back with our town officials and we'll be going through a punch list of items addressing concerns in the neighborhood. So please feel free to call my office or the clerk's office, and we'll be happy to assist with any concerns. For the July Town Council meeting, you will be reviewing pay application number 2 for Reith Riley. We apologize that it did not get before you tonight. However, both Reith Riley and our project engineer did not complete their work due to the fact there's just a lot going on right now. So they weren't able to get it completed. They were both in agreement to present it at your July meeting. Also at the July meeting, you will see change order number 1 for this project. As with any major construction project, we have encountered some unforeseen circumstances. For instance, Roslyn from Oriole to Belle Plaine is currently under milling. While we were milling Roslyn, the milling company came across some areas on Roslyn what is described to be a blowout. What a blowout is that when they take down a specific amount of surface, we don't know what's under a lot of these roads, so we can't anticipate having unforeseen things to occur. But on Roslyn, what happened is when they were milling, they got to some areas where the asphalt wasn't thick enough so that when they milled off, say, 2 inches, in some areas, they struck nothing but sand. So now we, as the town, have to go in and instruct the contractor to put in the proper amount of rock, binder, and other things to build that road surface up so that when we're finishing the roadway, we want it to be 100% so that it lasts for the next 15 to 20 years. So you will see some unforeseen changes that we have encountered. And again, they're all justified. They have been vetted by our project engineer, my office, and the street superintendent, and we'll have all that information to you at your July meeting. Facilities, town hall, roof leak. The council was made aware that the roof had a small leak that we found. It was just over time. It happened to crack on one of the seams. It's been patched. We're still not 100% confident that we have it solved up there. You'll see up on the ceiling above you here, there's a little bit of drywall that's come off from the last heavy rain. So we're hoping that before we fix the ceiling, we want to make sure that we have the roof taken care of up there. The council did see that 5 to 7 years out, we'll probably have to address the roof. So that's something that we'll address in our capital plan moving forward. The backflow preventer here at the town hall had to be relocated due to the fact that it was too close to the building and they were unable to test it annually. So we had that work done this month. And then some of the light bulbs in the patrol briefing room went out and they have all been replaced with LED light. Website update, July 25th. We are hoping to go live with the new town website. So please be patient with us as we do the migration from the current website to the new website. This was mandated to us by Civic Plus. They are our host for our website. So our administrative assistant, Kayla, is taking over as project lead on that, and she's working with Clerk Collins and myself to make sure that we meet the July 25th deadline. And then lastly, just wanted to touch on summer camp starts a week from today at the community center, and also the mulch at the playground across the street has been placed with certified playground mulch as well. That's all I have to report.
I just want to say that Reith Riley is doing a great job, along with Chief Swistek, John Wall. I've just seen a lot of the neighborhoods, including my own, where there are several streets. I said they're ready to go at 7 o'clock. They're set up. They work late, and there has been an issue near me, and they were quick to work on it with the owner. And I just see nothing but professionalism in what they're doing and how late they work and how they mark the streets and let people know how to get around and how to get in and out of their homes. So I think they just seem to me to be doing a really good job.
Mark, thanks to you and Kayla for a great summer newsletter, too. That was amazing.
Thank you. That's,
Thorough.
Kayla is very professional at laying that out and putting it together in countless hours. So a big thank you to Kayla for her creativity and drafting all of that and putting it together.
Thank you. Fire Commission. Fire Department, thank you for correcting me. I'd like to keep things right here. David Albers for Fire Department.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a report for the activity of the fire department from January through May 31st of this year. On the fire side, we stand at 29 calls year to date. That's in comparison to 31 last year at this time. 22 of the calls were in Long Beach. 6 of the calls were in Duneland, and that's where we played a role of mutual aid for Michiana Shores. In the month itself, we had 1 fire, 2 hazardous condition calls. 1 was down power line, 2 good intent calls, 6 false alarms, and 1 standby for weather condition. And I'll tell you a little story. One of our members, actually Mike Shaponiak, was walking behind the old school, It must have been dusk, and he saw this flickering in one of the rooms. Went up, and there was a lit candle in the room. So I think we activated 911 or whatever, and we got the candle put aside. But, who knows? But I'm glad Mike was peeking in the windows to see what was going on. Our average response per fire call still stands at 8 members per. On the medical side, we're at 46 calls in comparison to 33 last year. That's approximately a 39% increase. Of those calls, we had a respiratory call, we had 7 personal injuries, we had 1 sick person, and 1 medical alarm. And, excuse me, the year-to-date average turnout also stands at 5 on the medical side. The overall response time for fire stands at 4.26 minutes, and medical is 4.09. And I did not write this number in, but I remember seeing we probably have, members have donated over 480 hours to the fire, or to the town, I should say, since the first of the year. That concludes my report. Fire Commission, I don't know if there was a meeting, but if there was, I wasn't there. No? Okay. No. So that concludes my report. And as they say, you can never teach an old dog new tricks. So this old dog is going to go to the back here and play with the police department on ATVs and see what transmission we can take care of. So if you don't mind, I'll be departing.
Thank you.
Didn't you run another CPR class?
That was, I
I
don't
thought
know,
you just did.
31st?
Yes, 2 weeks ago, right?
I think, I did not get I'll probably hear it next week, the tally. I think there were probably 10 people from the community that
I think there
attended.
were, a neighbor of mine went, and I
A
think,
couple of
Yeah.
people were sort of no-shows, so. And I think I saw an email tonight where Alex Pollock is going to be doing something for the summer program, teaching some first aid or possibly CPR to the people working that program.
yeah, it's just nice that you offer it. And when you talk about personal injuries, is that mostly something like slip and fall or
Or like what falling down, break your ankle, yes.
doing that? Yeah, okay, all right. So if I would have called you, I would have been on.
You would have been on the report.
All right, thank
Thank
you. Public Works, Kendra?
We do not meet. Early now.
Okay. Oh, so when will the next one be? I forgot that's quarterly.
I think it might be July.
July, maybe, okay,
Yeah.
I'll just, sorry. Then we don't have to put, or I guess we can put it on just
Yeah, you
as
can
a
put it on.
reminder. Okay. Park Board, Kendra?
Park Board did meet on May 27th. Just a couple of updates. Just thanks as always to Janice Brown. She's been working with Mark and everyone, really, the Park Board group effort on the community center, just the Presby system and park upgrades and all that stuff that's going to look beautiful out there when it's done and already does, and again to her. And the Beach Garden Club has the Garden Walk, which is June 21st. And as of May 27th, tickets spot to date were 64, but they've got that going on.
Can you
So-
speak a little into that?
Oh.
Kevin's asking.
Okay, sorry. And also, it looks like they're looking at doing a deer-resistant demonstration garden. So I just got the notes about that. I don't know when that'll be finished, but somebody, Dennis Kelly, donated $500 to that. So trying to help people with some plans to help get around the deer. Mark already mentioned the camp. Again, June 16th to August 1st is the summer camp for tennis and for regular camp. Park Board's still looking at redoing the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. The town is doing a survey. They need that survey first to figure out what options, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. There's plenty of things to figure out, but Joy's working on doing that. So that survey's not finished yet, but that's in the works. And they were talking about had some public comments there. A lot of pickleball people showed up to give opinions and some tennis players as well, so that's great. And just want to thank Freddie Woods, who is a resident here in town. He owns Sulwood. He repaired for us free of charge the boardwalk at Stop 29 that the park board was looking at getting quotes at anyways. I guess Freddie was out working on someone's home, and he just was able to do that free of charge, not send us an invoice. So we want to say thanks to him on that. And that's pretty much it. That's the highlighter. That's the highlight. I had mentioned before, unfortunately, there was a tree at Stop 26 that was girdled. Someone was intentionally trying to kill it. So we're still looking for information. If anyone knows who did that, please tell Mark. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Next is the community center. The community center management met on June 2nd. Work started on the mural. I don't know, Ellen, did you been by there recently, or Cindy, is it completed?
No,
or
it's not
It's
completed.
getting close.
Really good, yeah.
So a mural has been donated by Vivian Bush, who's a resident, and it's really very nice. It's in the courtyard, so if you're ever in the building, go and look at it. She's doing a really nice job. Room 3 is still available for rent. If you have questions, you can reach out to Chief Swistek or Kayla. There's also flyers out. They've just been doing some housekeeping around the community center, looking at caulking windows around the front windows. They have to take care with the new planter boxes. We're looking at doing estimates to redo the cement walkway in front of the community center, and there are bricks there that have names on them. Those will all be kept there. They might be in a new pattern, but those will remain. We're in the process of getting estimates, the management team is. And there is, just so you know, for new bricks, there is a memorial garden in the park area across the street. So any new bricks are already going in there, and I think there are about 10 or 12 that we've put in there. I know that Mark Swistek, Chief Swistek, Always Thinking, mentioned the possibility of an ADA push button. That's what the new cement will be. It will be a ramp going into the front of the building. There is one in the back. So again, it's not required by law to have that push button, but it is something that the team is looking at. The ADA bathroom is ready to go. The last thing was walls had to be washed, and I think a few hooks put up. Otherwise, just maintenance. They're looking at purchasing heat pumps. They're looking at, they've saved money by getting different sizes of air filters, power washing and painting the building. So there's always something going on at the community center, and it's a wonderful team that really does do quite a bit of maintenance over there and upkeep. And Chief Swistek this morning, speaking of being on the community center maintenance team, he went over to just check out one of the rooms that there had been some coffee spilled in room 12, which has all been carpeted and painted. And the room was unorganized. There was cake and frosting and peanuts and tables and chairs and all kinds of things. So Chief Swistek spent an hour taking care of that room. So we are reaching out to all the different groups to say, please be careful with that room. It has been redone, and like any other room, just kind of clean up after yourself. So I think we're talking to all the different groups that use that. And we haven't used the login at the Y, but I think we're going to start using that when someone comes in. Even though they have to reserve the room, they're going to have to log in who's getting the key and who's. And that's it for community center. Clerk Treasurer Collins, Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance met on June 4th, and we went through projections in the capital plan up through May. The water rate study is ongoing, and we're hoping for results soon from Senator Dalton, who is working on that for us. Our town advisor, Trista, gave a quick update on recent legislation and how it may affect Long Beach in the coming years. She also attended a day-long conference the following day after the budget meeting, and then we'll be giving an update a more in-depth update at the July budget meeting. And Anita touched on our next meeting, which is scheduled for July 8th, beginning at 11 a.m. And this meeting will be scheduled for around 2.5 hours. Department heads will have a time slot to go over their budgets and their capital needs. And then we will schedule one more meeting to go over the budget, which I would assume we would pick that date at the next budget meeting, and then I'll distribute that. September 8th, so our timeline for the budget this year, September 8th will be the October 13th will be the second reading of the budget. And this timeline leaves us 2.5 weeks if there's a need for one more special meeting before the deadline of when the budget needs to be submitted. And our next meeting, I said, is July 8th. Only other item is we are concluding, almost concluding the 5-year audit that has been ongoing. So once the report becomes public, we will have remarks on the audit. So that is all for tonight.
And Meg, you had good news, though, where LaPorte paid the taxes to the town 2 weeks early.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. Correct. So our debt payments are due in June. We try to wait to pay those until we get the levy. And as Anita stated, it came early. It's all deposited, and our accounts look good for now. So, yeah, good news.
Thank you.
HR meeting is next.
Yes,
And-
Cindy?
Oh, Cindy.
Did you want, she had.
Cindy can do it.
Yeah, Cindy, we thought, Joyce said Cindy would do it.
Sure.
Yeah, we met on May 21st and discussed the manual some more, focusing on new
Oh,
additions.
can you need her to?
Focusing on new additions to the employee manual and, and continued the work. And we are having our next meeting on this Wednesday to kind of do more of a deep dive and try to get the revisions completed as soon as possible.
So I had a quick question. The council had approved, I think, $1,000 to an attorney. So that's still out there, or?
Once we
Okay.
get all of our changes done, then we will submit it to the attorney just to make sure,
Okay,
everything is right.
thank you. Tree Board, Ellen Lynch is on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know if you can see me or not. This,
can.
Zoom looks different today. Okay. The tree board met on Wednesday, and one of the first topics was the girdled tree. And CNA Arborist had come out and said, told us about painting it and wrapping it, as maybe that might help the tree live. He wasn't too confident on that, but we went and got it anyway. So today, Paul and I climbed down the hill. At least Paul helped me climb down the hill, and we painted it and wrapped it up. So I guess we girdled the girdled tree. So that's all done. So we'll see if it works out. Our next topic that we were talking about was we started talking about fall tree trimming and stuff. I know that's the last thing on Chief's mind, but we were we wanted to suggest that we could do a bigger part on helping them keep track of all the people that are calling in or things that need to be trimmed and that. And we would be able to then help him and Tom keep a running log of it and could have it at any time from us. We'd also like to put a ribbon around any tree that is going to be fixed so everybody knows which tree we're talking about. There was kind of a little bit of a problem. So I know we're getting ahead of ourselves on trimming trees when we're just getting streets paved. So then we had this, we talked about, I handed out all the updated streets intersection in need of clear sightlines, and I had given that to Chief at the, a couple meetings ago. So, but I think a lot of that has been put aside because of the tree trimming that we needed to do for the paving. So we're just wondering if some of that, if Tom's going to be able to get to some of that before with the holidays or with the summer vacations and that starting to start up. And then the last thing we did was we're going to revise. We're going to update the tree board application process and permit for removing a tree on town property. The one we have is, not too good, and we want to make it a little more user-friendly, and then we want to be able to put it on the website where all the other permits are. So that's what the tree board's doing. Any questions?
No, thank you, Ellen.
Okay.
Building Commission, Joy usually reports, but I will report for her. The Building Commission met on April 15th, I'm sorry. Permits were approved for the following addresses: 2937 Ridge Road, a new home; 1918 Monrovia, a patio; 1610 Lakeshore Drive, a hot tub on the existing deck, and that property will need a beach access permit. 1625 Lakeshore Drive, they're replacing a staircase. 2933 Belle Plaine, they're adding a shed. 1618 and 1624 Lakeshore Drive, they're repairing and replacing existing driveways. 2211 Florimond, repairing and replacing a flagstone walk, and 2320 Hazeltine, repairing and replacing deck boards. There were no permits that were denied. The next meeting is June 20th at 1 p.m. And moving on to the Board of Zoning Appeals, there was not a meeting. And next is the Advisory Plan Commission. The Advisory Plan Commission met on May 19th. We held a workshop for an hour prior to our regular meeting, and then it was followed by our regular meeting, and we are moving forward with an update to the 2016 Comprehensive Plan. So it's important that residents, we will be reaching out in many ways, but at our meeting a week from tonight, we will be talking more with Brad Meisner, and Jim McManus is another project manager. So they will be coming up with an agenda, different things that they listened to from us, and council members were there. So we just want people to be aware that things will be happening on this. There will be surveys. Kendra mentioned the pickleball and tennis courts. That will likely be a part of the surveys for the comprehensive plan. And as we have more dates that are set for town meetings and sending out surveys, we will let you know. And our next meeting, as I mentioned, is a week from tonight. The building and revenue report for May of 2025, do you read that, Meg, or do I?
I can read it.
All right.
For May 2025, there were 21 permits issued totaling $344,722 with revenue of $4,600. There were 6 electric permits issued totaling $575, 5 street cut permits with revenue of $500. Legal expenses paid to Brazy, Nelson & Janes were $4,500. Accounting expenses paid to Sender & Company were $1,370. And I would ask for a motion to approve these claims.
Make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Unfinished business, there are still a couple committee openings. Meg, I wanted to ask you about specifically budget and finance and public works. Laurel has left the employ of the town, and I'm wondering, did you have a chance to talk to her at all about whether she wanted to stay on those committees?
I believe she will not stay
will
on
not.
committees.
All right.
So,
Should I
but
reach
I believe
out?
budget, Scott Pop joined, so.
He did, but he took Joe Jogman's place.
Okay, right. So,
Do you want to make a note to Joy to reach out to her just to be sure? Or
Yeah,
you're,
or I can do that as well, but we did speak, her and I, about coming off of both of those.
okay, then if you're confident of that, then I'll just make a note of that.
Okay.
So we have to look for that. Building Commission, we do have a qualified candidate, but we will be looking to Attorney Willoughby to help us with the Building Commission ordinance about eligibility to serve. So we can't make any decisions on the Building Commission appointee yet. Town signs, Kendra or Cindy, anything?
Cindy's got more of an update than I do.
I've reached out to 4 different vendors for the replacement. I'm focusing on the beach stop signs. Kendra is working on some of the other signs. And, I've sent pictures, they're going to come and look. So nothing specific yet, but hopefully by next meeting, I'll have some more information. But one vendor out of South Bend especially. Good.
Perfect.
Yeah, we just split it up. I'm taking the lead in trying to find quotes for the brick columns that match
Okay.
the street columns, the entryway signs. And Cindy's heading up the metal or aluminum or whatever they are, the black signs at the stops that are in need of replacement, like the stop 14, stop 15. So we'll update as they come every month.
Perfect, thank you. New business, we have the Red Cross Shelter, Community Center, and a use agreement. I'm not sure, Meg, if you want to take that, or Chief?
Yep, I can talk on that. So
Great.
the Red Cross called the office inquiring if the community center can still be considered as a possible shelter location. This would be in the event of an emergency. And Red Cross wanted to know if the community center is ADA compliant and pet friendly, as well as a contact who could open the building. And then I received an agreement today that has many questions. And the contact, his name is John, had said this was more information than we needed right now, but if the location were to be approved again, then Red Cross will visit the building to take measurements and familiarize themselves with the building. And he also wanted me to let council know that Red Cross holds liability insurance of the shelter if something were to happen. So if council wants to approve the use of our community center as a shelter, they just need a contact that would be able to open the building in the event of an emergency, and then a couple of those questions answered. I could work with this contact, probably Mark and myself, to complete the paperwork along with them. Chris, do you know anything about, I believe we've been a shelter. Bob Silkowski was the contact. Deanna does not think that the clerk's office has any prior paperwork or documents, but maybe it was verbal or maybe it was completed by Bob in the past. So they had us down as a shelter, and then this gentleman was making phone calls, updating their list of shelters.
And my suggestion, I've had an opportunity to review the documents. Shared, actually, agreement's pretty, and not first blush. There's a couple of changes that I would recommend, but it seems like nobody's asking for actual approval tonight, other than a consensus that you're interested in moving forward with that. There's just a couple of suggestions that ask for a little bit more in terms of the depth. But otherwise, if the document was as is, it's probably forward if that is your intent.
And just to help the council on some of the uses of such agreement would be for a natural disaster, not only here in our town, but also, for example, in the middle of winter, there's a snowstorm and US 12 may be shut down just outside of our town. If there's any stranded motorists there, the American Red Cross may set up a shelter either here or Krieger Memorial or Krieger School close to us. And we would be bringing in people from outside the community as well. And the shelter would be managed by the Red Cross. We're just providing space for them to accommodate any needs for a natural disaster or other emergency.
think one other add is if you were inclined to have a consensus to have Meg and Chief move forward in terms of more, I would also suggest that we run sure just to see if current coverages might reconcile.
I was just going to add that I think we should have the point of contact. I mean, maybe it was Bob Sokowski because he was the former chief of police, but if we could, I would prefer to have either Mark or someone on the council or a resident versus just a non-resident, not really related with the town. I just think that makes sense.
I believe he was looking for our own contact. Is that what you're referring to? The contact for letting them into the building? Or,
Yeah.
Yes,
A different one than, because right now it's at Bob.
correct, an
Yeah.
updated one.
Yeah, an updated
Right,
one. Yeah.
right.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I would go ahead and make a motion that we approve moving forward with the community center to be used as a Red Cross shelter pending some changes to the agreement and checking into insurance on our part.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Long Beach Civic Association, approving the 4th of July festivities. Again, this is not a town-sponsored event, but it has taken place in the town for a number of years. Every year, it has to be approved by the town. Civic is pretty well aware of what they need to do. If they're having food, they have to get a permit to serve food from the LaPorte County Health Department. The town provides free of cost ice cream. And I guess what we're just looking for is, I would make a motion that we approve Long Beach Civic Association, the 4th of July festivities, 2025.
Just to add to that, before there's any motions over the last couple of years between Chief and I, there's been some upgrades to the indemnification. They have proper insurance as well and indemnify the town for anything that could go wrong. That has also been approved by insurance and the
Okay.
carriers. So
All
just
right,
give me a little
thank
more
you.
information.
Thank
And
you.
they've also filed with the Indiana State Police Excise for their alcohol beverage permit, and I've seen the permit, I've signed the permit, and they've since returned it to the state police, so all their permitting has been completed as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing about a food truck. I mean, they've stopped doing the food, so whatever they want to do, that'll be up to them to make sure they have the correct permit.
I was privy to information that they will be doing their own brats and hot dogs this year.
Oh, again, okay.
That's what I was told.
All right, well, hopefully they'll get their permit. So there's a motion pending to approve their festivities for this year.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on, same 4th of July, but the Higdon Family 5K Run, again, has been done for a number of years. The Higdon family always makes a donation to the community center based on all the participation in the run. I don't think there have been any problems in the past with it, and I would make a motion that approve the Higdon family 4th of July 5K run in town.
Second.
Thank you. Haas and Associates invoice number 12. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on, Haas and Associates invoice number 12 for payment approval, $26,385.04 on the 2024-2 CCMG project. Chief, do you know more about, this is,
It's all
Okay.
related to project oversight, project management for the CCMG under contract with Haas and Associates.
Okay.
It's one of their pay applications. It's been reviewed and recommended for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
thank you. Oh, gosh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Kendra. Next is ordinance 2025-03, amending ordinance 2024-09 for 2025. Meg, I'm going to look to you to explain what the changes are, and then we would do a first reading on this, is that correct? I don't know, Joy didn't really know what the changes were.
So, Chris, this would be a first reading unless, correct, because we put it together since last month.
Yep.
So council could,
And this applies to everything that you vote on ordinance-wise tonight. You could not pass it on first read, or suspend the rules this evening since you don't have all members present.
okay,
So everything at best could be.
first reading, okay. Yeah, so Anita, this is due to, for the 2025 salary ordinance, we've just had some employee changes and then some pay changes that are reflected in here. If you would like the specifics, I can give those. So our street employee had resigned in April, and then we hired a new street employee, Cody Downs. So on page 4, you'll see his name and his hourly pay. We also specified in the park department our new director, camp director, Madeline, and then our prior camp director is staying on as a co-director, helping Maddie get acquainted and kind of getting through this first season on her own. We also just added clarity on the rest of the camp positions, so assistant director, seasonal. So if you take this and compare it to what was approved at the end of '24 for the 2025 salary ordinance, each time there's a change, what auditors prefer to see is the reflection of what we're actually paying, and that should be reflected in these salary ordinances. So Mark graciously began working on it, and then we finished it together, making these changes. Another small change on the front was just adding another camp. I think we added I guess we changed one. I don't even know if we changed an hourly in the end, Mark, because we just added co-director along with the director under that position. So this would be third from the bottom on the first page.
Correct. And then also from the May Town Council meeting, the Town Council passed the salary increase, the hourly rate increase for Austin Ashcraft. That has been reflected in the ordinance amendment. And then also we added the ERC certification for the street superintendent. That is also added on, I believe, page 2 of the ordinance.
Thanks, Mark.
So I would proceed then by making a motion, Chris, to approve the ordinance 2025-03 on first reading only.
I'll make a motion.
I think Anita made the motion, so.
Well, that's what I was gonna, you were asking if you should make. So were you making a motion or asking for a motion? Is the clarity?
Let's just go ahead with Kendra made the motion, and I'll second the motion. How about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and then we will see this again next month for second reading. Next is ordinance 2025-04.
So
I'm
in
sorry.
between that, Anita, there's residency requirement for building commission members.
Well, they're related.
Oh, okay. Never
Yeah,
mind.
that's just 2 items for it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so we only needed one of those on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, so, okay, so, right, I
So
know.
go right
So
ahead.
I know, you're
Continue.
looking at, I missed something, sorry. So, the town, it's important that the building commission members actually live in the town of Long Beach. And so this ordinance explains in detail that that will be part of a change of our ordinance, and that any building commission members must live in the town of Long Beach or homestead in the town of Long Beach. So again, this would be a first reading with the second reading in July. And I would make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025, which has to do with eligibility to serve on the building commission requiring residency.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the parking ordinance, that is before APC, so that hasn't come yet.
That should not be on the
It shouldn't
agenda.
be on here, so APC will be doing, I think, are doing our first reading.
You have a public
Okay.
hearing
We have a
scheduled.
public hearing
You have to
scheduled.
consider a proposal to this change and the result of the action at the APC level, regardless of the action unless continued, will then end up before the town.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
heading into the next meeting, we will remove this from council agenda.
Unless it's approved, APC will let you know, there'll be a certification if they approve it, and then that would be your cue to add.
Okay?
Thank you. Unity Foundation request. There is a resolution, and I don't know if Meg or Chris, so we met with the Unity Foundation. There is a person who wants to give $5,000 and to help youth, and so we talked about naming it the Long Beach Youth Community Outreach Fund. But Joy and I, we also have a tree fund there where we get money from an investment, and this year we would get $308. I think that there would probably just, the decision would be that the money would just be reinvested. But I think Joy and I had questions about, before we established the Long Beach Community Youth Community Outreach Fund, we have to have a general fund within the Unity Fund where we can put money if it's not designated to either the Youth Community Outreach Fund or to the Tree Fund or any other fund that we set up. So that was, I mean, something that I had worked with, so it was like you could either donate into a pot for Long Beach, non-specific, or you would have to donate.
In this instance, though, you have a particular donor, right? And I will defer to Meg or Chief, but what's different here and why it's segregated and separate is because they have a specific purpose for that fund. So when there are funds that are given, they're dictating the specific use. So that's why this separate, segregated.
So would it be worthwhile to do a resolution where we just have a town fund in the event that somebody ever wants to just donate money to the town, but not to the Tree Fund or not to the Long Beach Youth Commission Outreach Fund?
I believe the clerk treasurer's office already has a fund for general donations that we would take in from residents that can be deposited, and then the clerk treasurer.
We don't have a fund like we do the police donation fund, but we could create our own fund that, people donate to the community center,
Right.
or if they earmark a fund for something. I'm unsure if the Unity Foundation funds, if you can just start one or if you have to have an initial donation. It appears that these two funds had an initial donor that began the fund. So I'm unsure of what their requirements are. We could ask Jamie that, though. I don't believe we touched upon this at our meeting with her.
I mean, Chris is correct. This one resolution's for the specific fund for the Unity Foundation, but to Anita's point, we're looking for just a general donation.
Outside of the Unity Foundation?
We could do that, but I think it would still be separate resolution. Yeah.
It would be separate. And then we already have a fund there, which is the Long Beach Tree Fund.
But that's, when you say there, that's Unity Foundation.
Correct.
Right? So that's nothing to do where that flows here depends on when a check is written or a wire is given to the town as to directing where Meg would put that, in what town fund. So even though who established that Unity Fund for trees? Somebody, a donor.
Somebody did, yeah.
So-
Yeah,
So, and I would have to find out if we can just create a revenue line in the general fund as compared to a separate, completely separate fund. So I don't know if that's necessary for general town donations.
Well, a good example is just a few minutes ago, the council approved the Higdon Family Run. They'll be making a donation to the town, and that specific donation would go into the town's donation fund.
That actually, they always ask for that to go into the
Community
community
center,
center specifically, so, yeah, just depends. I mean, the police donation fund was created, it gets more donations than, say, the general fund as far, at least in my time here,
Right.
but that's not to say
But I
that
think
this
they're easy answers,
couldn't be
though.
useful.
I think that we can easily find out if it's just a revenue line or whether we need to establish a separate, but I still think that this specific youth outreach is indeed a separate.
it's,
on the top.
yes, it's separate, but again, it goes back to the question of, I mean, working with a group like this before, it was, you could say, oh, I want to donate to the Fisher Fund for something, or you could just give it to them and say, I'm giving you money, you see what fund you need it to go to. So I guess the question is, yes, we can look at this particular, what you prepared, but then is there a need to just do a general thing that is on file with the Unity Foundation?
Wait, why do we even need the Unity Foundation? We don't, right?
There's a resident that is
And it's only
initiating
going
this
to be
with a
through the-
one-time anonymous donation.
It has to be through the Unity Foundation?
Well, that's their
donate the
request.
Right?
The
That's where
Unity-
they-
I'm just thinking going forward, though, I would rather not have them involved because it's a 1% to 2% total of fund money. And if someday, we've always talked about the community center could use about a $3 million upgrade, we don't need the Unity
Well,
fund.
that's a nuance, right? That's the resident choosing the Unity
No, I know, I'm
Foundation.
saying for that-
But you in the future could seek out or have a donation campaign or community type events.
Right, right. So this one-time donation would be through the Unity Fund for this person's.
Which I believe this tree, what Deanna was able to find on that tree fund was, again, it was a donation that hence has not had any recent donations, yet has accrued some interest over 8 years or so, 10 years maybe.
Right, it has.
So it's not that you're, with this initial deposit from this resident, it will grow very slowly over time unless we distribute information and then residents decide to contribute, not the trees, I apologize, the youth program.
And my understanding is you don't have access to those funds that are donated, only to the 4.75% that it earns. So it's, money sitting there. Yeah.
Correct.
But they manage it, I mean, and they actually, I worked with one that I think had close to 400 different, and many people want to do that. They don't want to worry about where the money is. They want, someplace like the Unity Fund to handle it. And then you don't worry about where it is. The Unity Fund takes care of it. They, look at different benchmarks. They have an advisory corporation. So when you give money to something like this, it's not like the town where you say, okay, we have $5,000 in our budget. Who's going to, do you want to make any, do you want to earn interest on it? What do you want to do with it? And how do you break that down? If we're putting money into CDs, it's hard to break down, oh, wait, but we have $3,330 left in the Long Beach Community Youth Outreach. So there very much is a need for things like the Unity Foundation and other foundations like this that are around the country. So I guess right now, the important thing is just to go ahead with the,
I just have one question for
Yeah.
Meg. Is there a time element to this resolution, or you're just trying to be proactive to have a fund ready?
I think, I don't believe there was a time limit.
A timeout, so there's, and the reason I'm asking is that if Anita and Joy's question is that we could have a general unity fund and you could earmark a youth outreach line item within there and, or tree, I guess it's, can we amend this or what your other line items are for donations, right? The specifics, or whether you need a tree fund, for instance, tree donation fund, you may need a separate one for that. So if we're unsure of those, then maybe you put this off till July.
I am unsure on how those separate donation funds or line items would, the best way to go about that, yes.
So I think if you don't have a deadline element, maybe we just hold this over, and if we can have one resolution, obviously that's better than having two. So, and
I think
otherwise you can come back and
The
have
other
this
thing to
considered.
consider is just that, in my opinion, the board is, tonight was approving or not, essentially this acceptance of a donation with the Unity Fund for this specific cause. So, but weighting it based on these other items is fine.
The Unity
I would
Foundation.
like to make a motion to approve that, because it's a separate entity and no harm in going ahead.
I am a little, Mark had spelled it out in the email, that residents would be able to donate to the clerk's office, to the town, and then I have to get that money over to the Unity Foundation. So it will be a little balance of just keeping track of that, so.
But Cindy raised a good point, like, that does concern me, that it's not just the money's there, we can take it out, we're then beholden to when they say we can take it out. We can only take out this calculated annually based on principal and earnings over the past 20 quarters. So it's not like, from what, I'd have to do more research or someone that knows finances better, but that somebody puts in $100,000, that doesn't mean we can just go and use it. We are only able to use,
45, 47.
yeah,
Correct.
4.7%. So that's not
Except it'd
a
be-
benefit to me
Except
at
it'd be
all.
4,700 that you didn't have.
Right, but yeah, for this person's fund, for
Right.
sure, I agree for this generous donation, but going forward, I don't see any point in continuing to fund something like this.
It just, I mean, to me, it just makes sense that
Me, it does not.
younger, I could manage my own money, but at some point in my life, you get an investment company or an
I
investment.
don't think the Unity Foundation, the people that I would consider them, I mean, I'd like to know what kind of credentials these people have.
Well, and what, to Meg's point of people bringing in, walking in donations, that might be something different, right? And the nuance is, do you have to put that in Unity Foundation? Or to your point is, can you control that where you have, does that go into the separate donation fund for a particular purpose? Those are two different things, right? If they walk it to, if they say, I want to donate to the Unity Fund, that's different versus Long Beach has a youth outreach fund as well. There could be two. So I think that's where the nuance is control. And we went through that before, talking about community center and why private parties might choose to do their own thing so that they have a little more say on what happens versus just the town. Or with Unity Foundation, yeah, you're at their mercy.
My understanding from our meeting was there may be donors to Unity Fund funds that like that it's a youth-related fund that have nothing to do with Long Beach. So it's just something, outside of the town.
So Kendra, maybe looking through this will answer a lot of questions because there are so many different accounts. And there are reasons why people do that. I mean, personally, when my dad died, we gave money to a fund that's run because none of us wanted to run it, but it named a biology lab and it gives scholarships every year. And so, there are different reasons people use organizations like this. I mean, Paul Applegate is on the board of directors just looking at it, but I think this book will be helpful in terms of, you can see who who is on the board, how they manage the money, so.
A lot of experience with the Michigan City Public Schools, the Unity Foundation.
From the meeting that we had with the Unity Foundation representative, what they're looking for tonight from the council, one is, do we want to accept the initial $5,000 donation from the donor, and then Unity Foundation will go back to the donor confirming that the town is in support of this, and then they will set up the fund, and then our resolution would come second to that, so that the town for State Board of Accounts is covered as far as how we set up receiving funds from the Unity Foundation. So I think for the council's consideration tonight, what Unity Foundation is looking for is a vote to say, are we wanting to accept this from the generous donor? And they will then reach out to the donor, because either Meg or I will need to reach out to Unity Foundation to let them know how we want to proceed from tonight forward.
Well, based on that, rather than tabling it, I could make a motion that we would move ahead with the resolution to establish the Long Beach Youth Community Outreach Fund, which would then allow Unity Fund to go ahead and reach out to the donor and say that we would accept the $5,000 and.
I don't think you have to go that far. I think you can just make a motion to approve and accept, make a vote in favor of accepting if that's the council's pleasure. We can do the resolution in the future to establish the fund.
Okay, all right. That's my motion right there.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Got to take a vote.
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving forward to the tennis court survey. Joy and Meg talked, and Meg advised that, so there's a survey to do the 4 parcels of the town that includes the corners of the parcels, a plat of survey showing the survey data, a surveyor's report that shows the lines and corners, buildings, fences, pavements, road pavements, any items or encroachments on or near the property lines. The expense from Thate, which is now Schneider Geomatics, would be $9,936. And clerk treasurer advised that administrative budget line in the general fund, 1101.511.399, has that money available. So if this is approved, I could go ahead and let Joy know that she can go ahead and the boundary survey.
Make a motion to approve the survey.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Extending the moratorium on local business expansion. This moratorium was passed for a 6-month period. We're waiting for the building commission to make decisions on setbacks on the business property, which is near Hacienda, the parking lot of Hacienda.
Yes, that, not just that, but in addition to the comprehensive plan being under review right now, it seems appropriate to continue that so that in addition to the building commission's considerations, that the future plan, and while you're redoing the comprehensive plan, that you don't do anything in the meantime that might be a short-term contradictory to that. So the recommendation is to continue that for another 6 months.
So I would make the motion to extend the moratorium on local business expansion for, which I think would take us to the end of December 2025.
And maybe you should,
Or
maybe
leave
just
that
make
date.
it that
Just make
date.
it another 6-month extension.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And, man, I lost my paper. Chief Swistek, it leads you to police retirement benefits, resolution, and permission.
Did you do all in favor on that motion?
I did,
Oh,
sorry.
you did, okay.
All in favor, sorry.
The HR committee has previously discussed, and we wanted to revisit the healthcare benefit for retiring first responders. There is a state law that mandates that retirement insurance shall be made available for retiring emergency first responders. However, that does not mean that the town has to pick up the cost of such insurance. Some communities, for example, the town of Trail Creek, Chesterton, Westville, and Porter, do not offer retirement health benefits where they pay any portion. They offer it through COBRA, that the retiring employee must pick up the full responsibility. Chris can touch on, and back in 2021, the previous council had signed a resolution that the retiring employee would be responsible for 50% of the monthly premium upon retirement after 20 years of service, and that benefit would be available until the age of 65, when the retiring officer would then go on to Medicare. What we're looking for from the council is just for some direction from you, and then I'll turn it over to Chris as far as the resolution, because I did forget that we did do that resolution back in 2021. When I look at some of the departments, like the sheriff's department, for example, they cover 1/3, requiring the employee to pay 1/3 if you retired prior to 2005, I believe it was. But after 2005, the employee would then be responsible, anyone retiring would be responsible for 50% of the cost. So currently, the town's policy is that a retiring member of the police department would be responsible for 50% of the healthcare cost, that being the monthly premium that the town is charged. And right now, we have one employee who retired last year that is eligible for that, but chose not to take the benefit. Now, that employee could come back and request such benefit because they will not reach the age of 65, I believe, for like another 7 years. But we just want to make sure that the council's aware, talk about the resolution tonight, any changes to the resolution, or a new resolution, I guess, and then just deciding where we move from here moving forward. I will tell you, the next retiring police officer, currently our most senior one, only has 6 years. So this wouldn't be necessarily needed until 14 years from now, but we thought it was important that we memorialize it. Or we just, discuss the current resolution, and then maybe that'll cover it. So,
Mark, could I just add that the motion that had been made was for 20 years of service or
correct.
more?
Yes. Yeah, they have to complete 20 years of service before they would be eligible for the benefit.
And I think what we discussed at budget, or HR, I suppose, was, and maybe the officer that retired last year would be grandfathered in, but whether you could decline it and then come back would be something council may want to consider. That's all.
And what some other municipalities do is that if the retiring member finds full-time employment with another employer and they offer a health care benefit, they are required to take that insurance from that employer. So therefore, they wouldn't be taking the town's. They can't pick or choose. If they choose to continue on with full-time employment, they need to take the health care provided by their current employer. So
it looks like, and we had some discussion earlier, that August of 2021 was when the town council last considered that. So if you're inclined to review that, I would suggest maybe working with chief and then propose what might be some industry standards and or upgrades that fit the town, and what your general vision is with regard to those things.
So my recommendation would be that I'll ask our attorney to share the resolution with all of us. We table it for tonight and then bring it back if needed at your July meeting, but would give the council adequate time to send any questions, concerns that either Chris or myself could answer for you prior to your July meeting.
All right, we just go with that recommendation? Do I have to have a discussion of? Okay, but just the consensus that you'll share the resolution with us, and if any of us have any questions, we can reach out to.
I just have one
Mr. Chief.
question. Mark, you were saying that you checked with some of the other municipalities, and you did not find any that were, giving a 50% benefit at this point?
There are the larger ones. The LaPorte County Sheriff's Department was one of them, and then the Michigan City Police Department. The smaller towns, and for example, LaPorte City, a bigger department in a bigger city, but LaPorte City only offers the COBRA benefit. Now, they did reply back to our email and said that they are currently in negotiations with their police union, and that could change for 2026. But at this time, they only offer COBRA. But yes, Michigan City, for example, myself, I retired from the Michigan City Police Department. If I was not currently full-time employed at this time, I could be on the healthcare plan at the city of Michigan City, and I would be responsible for 1/3 of the cost monthly. So,
Which I think, in my opinion, that seems more in line with the size, especially the size of Long Beach, is maybe a 25%. Not going with the 50, but giving some portion of the premium cost.
and my only recommendation, and Chris could probably confirm if I'm correct on this, would be going back to 2021, the employee that retired last year. I think we should grandfather them in under the 50% one if by chance they were to come back, because that was the policy at the time.
Right.
And then if the council passes a new resolution from, let's just say, July 1st of 2025 forward, anyone with 20 years of service that retires would be responsible for the 1/3. This way, the previous employee would be grandfathered in under the 50% if by chance they were to come back in the next 7 years and ask for the benefit. So.
Colleen, anything?
I think that it's important that when someone has the 20 years that we do offer them something. I think that the 50% is a lot for a town of our size. I do think that 1/3 is, or 1/4 is a little bit more in line with what we might be able to do. But I definitely think it's important that we do something for the officers that have given so much for our community.
And I would agree, and I don't think you're going to get any negative comments from any of the members, because as we're finding, a lot of the smaller towns do not offer any, monetary match. So they would be very grateful even to have that third match.
If we're able to, I think we should do the most that we're able to do. I just don't want to overextend and then not be able to deliver on that down the road. But if what we're able to do, I'd like to do.
Maybe the approach is that Chief and I take the previous version, redline that so that you could see with some suggested changes, and of course, you get to make the final decision, but you could see those and we could propose, and then your ideas can be incorporated in there for consideration at next month's.
Sure.
Sounds good to me, everybody? Sounds good? Perfect. All right, Chief. Resolution adopting overtime pay policy.
I will defer to Chris.
Came up in one between
Oh,
ability to recoup, right, based on some of these state grants, some of the traffic enforcement programs, and having the officers or the town be reimbursed at the rate of double time or 2 times the rate. So that's essentially what this resolution to establish, make sure, again, because everything's fresh in our mind with State Board of Accounts, it tidies things up, and, if ever asked by the state in terms of reimbursement, establishing that policy, it's really only a benefit that makes the town eligible to receive those funds from their grant funds when there's those enforcement programs.
And other law enforcement agencies across the state are adopting the same resolutions and the same compensation that the state is now allowing that for overtime pay at double rate for participation in state-funded grants.
Do we need to discuss?
It's up to you. Do you want to approve it?
Does anyone have any comments?
First reading only, or? Oh, okay.
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 So we just go ahead with the motion, and then, all right. So I would make a motion that we adopt the resolution adopting overtime pay rate policy. And then we would need a second on that.
Just take a normal vote.
All right. Here a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So this is the first reading, so we'll do, no. It's just the
Be passed,
resolution
yes.
just passed. All right, so we have passed this resolution. Thank you. And that takes us back to sealed bids. Mark Swistek.
At this time, I would request that we table this. I am waiting for the street superintendent, allowing him some additional time to prepare the equipment so that it can be viewed by the public. He wants to take some time to remove some of the town equipment from the truck, so I would ask that we table it at this time.
Thank you. Claims approved. Meg?
Town checks numbers 21666 through 21754, totaling $605,147.56. Water checks number 55288 through 55324, totaling $154,055.04. May payroll of $76,529.94. And I would look for a motion to approve.
I would make the motion to approve those checks as listed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any council comments? Kendra, Cindy, Meg? No, nothing? I would then ask for a motion to adjourn at 8:21 PM.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you all. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks for attending.